You're welcome back from the verdict. You heard all the president had to say about the Ipman task force. Ipman task force is ready to collaborate with the federal government to curb the excesses of crude oil theft, crude oil smuggling, pipeline vandalism, and adulteration of PMS products. You also got the full gist concerning the reasons why some Ipman members have been upscaling the pump price of PMS products at their retail outlets. Ipman president believes that for all of this to come to an end, there is a need for the NNPCL to allocate their 50% allocation to Ipman. Yes, and when that is done, you'll be shocked to see that Ipman members will sell their pump price far below what you expect. Right now, I'll take you to CNG roundoff with TETRACORE Energy Group. I told you earlier that the guest will be OGHALE-EVI ONWUSAH, and she'll be talking to us about financing natural gas projects in Nigeria, the available financing options and strategies for LNG and CNG projects.
Hi, my name is OGHALE-EVI ONWUSAH, Acting Financial Controller, TETRACORE Energy Group. There are several financing options available for gas projects in Nigeria. Firstly, we could start with getting international funding for such projects, such as international financing institutions and international development agencies. Now, these come at a lower financing cost. However, several of these institutions are moving away from financing gas projects and moving to renewable energy. However, I feel like Afrexim and AFC continue to fund these projects. Secondly, we could look within Nigeria. There's the Midstream Downstream Gas Infrastructure Fund, which was established to finance gas projects. The government comes in here as an equity participant in such projects. We could also look at Bank of Industry. They are also big on financing gas projects in Nigeria. And then we could look at infrastructure financing companies who would provide bank guarantees for gas projects in Nigeria. There's also the public-private partnerships. If you look at what has been done in other countries for gas projects such as Australia, Peru, China, you would see that the government has partnered with private investors to build the gas infrastructure within their country. We could also emulate such countries and do same in Nigeria. And you could also do private investors for gas projects. You could do private investors whereby several private companies come together to finance these projects. And lastly, we could look at commercial banks. Although the financing cost from commercial banks is quite high, they also are able and ready to finance gas projects in Nigeria. For financing CNG, that's compressed natural gas and liquefied natural gas projects in Nigeria, first and foremost, those companies need to ensure that the project is viable, meaning that both the feasibility study of that project and the financial model must be viable before a financial institution will be willing to take on such projects. Secondly, they need to be sure they have executed contracts for both the gas supply for the CNG and LNG projects and off-takers to off-take the liquefied natural gas and the CNG. Thirdly, you need to have contracted your OEM, that's your original equipment manufacturer. You need to have contracts with them, and you also need to have contracts with for your O&M, operating and maintenance of that facility. Thirdly, the company must be able to show that it has executed contracts with its OEM, that's the original equipment manufacturer, for the equipment for both the LNG and the CNG projects. And next, the company must be able to show that it has considered all the risks associated with this project and de-risk the project by showing how it's going to mitigate all the risks associated with the project. Finally, the company must be able to show that it has a strong and experienced management team who will be able to manage these projects from the beginning to the end and to be profitable in the business which is being ventured into. So the strategies which have actually proven to be effective have been initiatives from the government. Firstly, we'll have the import duty and VAT waivers. This has been quite attractive because it has reduced the cost of importing these equipment into Nigeria. Next, we have tax incentives, which gives you, for investing in gas equipment, you get 5 years free tax period and tax-free on your dividends. And you also have accelerated capital allowances once you come out of this tax-free period. Next, if you invest in pipeline infrastructure, you get an additional 5 years tax-free. So these have been some of the incentives from the government which have made the gas project to be quite attractive. For TETRACORE CNG project, we use our business cash flow to fund the first phase, and for the second phase, which is the expansion, we're going to use local financiers for debt financing. And for the LNG project, because it's quite capital intensive, we're using a mix of both international financiers and local financiers to finance this project.
Welcome back from CNG Roundup by TETRACORE Energy Group. I'm sure that was very, very enlightening. And for those of you looking at getting into CNG and LNG, you heard all she said about the available financial options and strategies. Right now, let's go over to oil and gas news. And I told you earlier that we'll be bringing you the funeral of late Lady Beatrice Anokwe. Now, she is the wife of Chief Bestman Anokwe, who happens to also be the chairman of NIPCO PLC. The entire IPMAN delegation were at that funeral, which took place at the country home of Chief Bestman Anokwe at Adaizi, Enu, in Anambra State. Let's go over now, bring you sights and sounds from Anambra State.